This is the Newsload.
Hi, I'm Carrie Anne Stevenson, and I'm here with Newsload. And today I am so excited to be able to interview Todd Glass. Hello, Todd. How are you?
I'm doing good. I went to the gym this morning. I drank a lot of water, and I'm all yours. I feel actually really good.
Productive morning. Good, good, good.
Yeah. You know how sometimes you just coincidentally feel, for lack of a better word, aligned, and it's and not because you got any good news or any, just you feel, so you got me in a good place.
Good, 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 good. So you just got back from going on tour?
I did, for me, a tour is like, I'll take like 2 dates and put them together. Maybe in the past I've done 4 cities in a row, unless I'm opening up for somebody, then yeah, we'll do one city every night. But I was in Philly and I did 6 shows at this place called Next in Line, and it was a lot of fun. And then I went to New Hope, which it's like an hour outside of the city. It's a very quaint area on the river, and it's this iconic, it's basically a music place. It's called John and Peter's. And I've been doing shows there for the last 5 years. Every year I do Philly, and then on my way home I stop. I go in 2 nights early, and it's just so much fun. It was a really fun, some fun shows. Every fucking show was so, excuse my language. One other quick thing is that I wanted to implement something in those shows that I've been saying I'm going to performer, but you can always get better. And I was like, I had this theory in my head that if a 10 is the best audience, right? That's easy because they love you, you'll do. But if they're a 7, that means they're not horrible. 7 usually means they're not talking, they're paying attention, they're just not giving you what you want. And I used to lose those people, and it was my fault. Because all you got to do to game them, they're 7. There's good high probability if you go out there and you're tight, doesn't mean you can't have fun, but you know what you're doing. You don't give up when they're not giving you what you want. You don't give up. And I applied it to a few shows that I wouldn't have before, and I was proud of myself because they go, yeah, you didn't just get up on stage. I didn't, I just, so they were productive shows for me.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I really appreciate, after all the years that you've been doing this, that you're still experimenting, that you're still growing, you're still learning, you're still trying. It's great.
Well, thank you. I talk about that a lot with some comedian friends of mine, like Gary Goldman. We talk about comedy a lot, and even writing new jokes, that's important too. But just your wanting to, evolve as a comic, and where do you go? And if you're open to do it, it's there. It's your choice, But when I work with Gary, it makes me want to be a better comedian, Same thing with Jim Gaffigan and being on the road with him, and he's like, he works hard, and then I'm scribbling down my notes 20 minutes before I go on, and I go, come on, Todd, you can step it up a little.
No, Jim's life has got to be chaos with, what is it, 6 kids that he's got, and constant specials and such, so always new material and everything. He's got to constantly be up at 6 a.m. going.
But nevertheless, I had a great time in Philadelphia.
But it's nice to hear that you're writing new jokes. But I am curious to know, I have a joke that's about 20 years old, and it goes so well in almost every show that I put it on. And I don't know if I should retire it or not.
Oh, that's such a good. I've had jokes like that over the years, and sometimes I need to just get rid of it, but it works every time, especially when you're opening up for somebody on the road in front of a 3,000 seat theater. It was the type of joke, or it just always, so I know what you mean. And if it's not dated or, it just doesn't, no, if it's just also timeless, and mine was this. It took evolvement over the years, but it's a visual. I didn't do anything to make myself look like what I'm about to say. It's not like I put my hair up in the air and went, I look like a mop. Well, yeah, because you gelled your hair up in the air. But this was just, I used to go, started out as I looked like Fred Flintstone and Oliver North had a baby. And then it evolved to Scott Bakula, Fred Flintstone, and Treat Williams. But it was always somebody in Fred Flintstone. And then even like 3 years ago, I for some reason I said, hey, by the way, you probably don't know me. And this is a 35-year-old joke. Could be 40 years. And I go out on stage and I go, hey, a lot of people don't know that my dad's famous. It's not a big deal, but I'm telling you for a reason. My dad is Fred Flintstone. And I'm like, afterwards, I go, Todd, you just won't give it up. And then I used to go out on stage and say, folks, the openings are the hardest. This is when I decided I'd give it up, but I found another way around it. The openings are the hardest. I never know what to open with. My old opener, I got rid of because I can't do my same opener for 35 years. So I got rid of it like a month ago. Do you want to hear what it was?
Yes.
No, I say that to the audience.
Oh.
Because it's basically saying, oh, I'm going to do that joke. Because I go, I got rid of it. I mean, if you want to hear what it was, I'll tell you. And then I basically did the joke. I thought, well, you can get a few more years out of it. So
yeah, especially if you encourage the audience to be like, it's an old one.
Yeah, but you do want to be writing new material. I have a different relationship I hope it's not just because I'm lazy. I really don't know if I've talked myself into this or it's a true memory I have. But I think I'm being pretty honest with myself that I keep some jokes around for a long time because I just like them. They drop out of the act when I don't care about it anymore. So some jokes can stay around for a pretty long time. I do them different. That's the thing. Every night it's going to be different if they react. So it's not going to be the same. But if people came to see me a year later, now it depends what they think somebody who writes a proper amount of new material is. But I think if they came to see me a year later, I would have at least 40% new material. And to me, when I started to see comedy, if I went and saw like a comedian when I was 17 and I went back a year later and he had 40, 50% new material, I think I'd be happy. I'd be like, I wouldn't want to see the same act 10 years in a row, and comedians do that. So, and that coincidentally is how I enjoy my life. Like if I had to work so hard to change it over, I don't think I'd enjoy comedy as much. I like that just when it just gracefully. And then when you're getting ready for a special, you go through and you make sure there's nothing old in there. But anyway.
It is a little frustrating. Doug Stanhope says it best, like musicians like the Rolling Stones can sing Start Me Up for the next 50 years kind of thing, but we have to write new material every year. That's a lot of work.
Well, but that's what we're saying. I don't think you necessarily do. I think that's a pressure that certain comedians, and by the way, I like to be really clear with this for whatever reason as a comedian. Every comedian should do exactly what they're comfortable doing. Like if they like turning it over every year, that's their style. That's what they do. I'm not going to say you shouldn't. Of course not. But if you're not enjoying yourself, I think most people would agree. I did not mind going to see, like back then it was like, when I was like 18, it was like Paul Reiser is a newer comedian, even Jerry Seinfeld, Gary Shandling. These were the comedians that I saw at that age that were coming into that club. And I remember a lot of them, and I didn't expect a year later. Matter of fact, sometimes if they didn't do an old joke, I was like, oh, I wish they would have done that. We wanted to see that. Because it's not a joke like a one-liner. Some of them, their stories, they're a little different. You go, oh, I hope he does that. It's so funny. And again, this is not an excuse for me or any comedian to be lazy when turning over material. I'm just saying you might be able to, I don't think you need to write a new hour every year, but
now you have a lot of yelling and vocal almost strain in a lot of your material, even some of your interviews that you do and such. Thank you for not yelling in this one, but like especially on tour, how do you keep your vocal cords strong?
Well, I mean, I'm not singing, so. But you're right. I do yell a lot, and I've noticed that sometimes if I'm yelling a lot, not even because the shows are going bad, that hopefully never happens anymore. I'm not. I mean, I've never been a hothead on stage, but I've gotten pissed off. But it's usually yelling in bits, and when things are going well, and they're not scared of my yelling. When they're not scared of it, I turn it up more because it's a fun thing. It's a fun release for me doing bits that are giddy, funny, and also you're yelling at the top of your lungs. And once in a while, you get a little bit of laryngitis. But I asked Eddie Pepitone once because he really yelled. Oh, I asked his friend Steve. I go, how come Eddie, does he ever get maybe he yells in a range that's not straining his vocal cords. I don't know. Interesting conversation. At least after I'm dead. If people find this podcast after I'm dead, I think this will be interesting.
But do you drink tea? Do you have cough drops? What's your
No,
no?
no. One time in Philadelphia, I got laryngitis. I felt it in the radio in the morning, and then I didn't do anything about it. And can I tell you something? And I'll bare my soul. Like, this was money that was good to have. You know what I mean? Like, and then you're like, and I woke up in the morning and I got really scared. And then somebody at the club, their dad was a doctor, so it was so nice to he called me, told me exactly what to do, and then sent a mobile nurse to put a drip bag. I mean, I was like, and you know what? By showtime, I was like testing it. You know, I would go hello, 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 like throughout the day, and then I was able to do the show. But I told the crowd the truth, and I said, so it was the quietest I've ever been on stage. It was fun.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And that's so nice that you had a friend that, is a doctor and, getting the nurse and everything. That's
Yeah.
Treatment. That's great.
It was this place called City Hydration, and he didn't have anything to do with it, but he sort of hooked them up. I've gone back since, but like, yeah, the drip bag, it was like the tea, I did it all right. But anyway, no, so, but mostly I'm just fine. Nothing ever happens.
So I've noticed in your recent sets, I've kind of been, watching a lot of your YouTube videos and such. You brought in a band. Did you find that made the show lighter, more entertaining, higher ticket prices? What was your motivation for that?
Well, having the band was a slow process over the years, from having recorded music eventually to an iPad with a touch screen, and somebody in the sound booth would do drops for me. I always enjoyed it. So the band, and then it started with using a different band in every city. Band could be keyboards and drums, by the way. Or if I can get a trumpet player, whatever. But keys and drums, I would get in a night early, rehearse with them, and then I realized if I bring somebody with me that's done it 100 times, or a little band, the show is just night and day. I mean, it is just training someone. You can teach them so much, and I'm always amazed how good they get it with just maybe 5 hours the night before, 4 hours, and then they do the shows. They're great, but nothing like when you're bringing somebody that's done it 60, 70, 80 times. But the band, I think there's 100 reasons. It actually overwhelms me because it's forget about the comedic bits they do with me. I mean, that's a huge part of it, are the bits. They're quick, they're funny. I mean, the band bits fucking work all the time, and they're fun to do. But they're playing as people are coming in, not the whole band, but some places the doors open up an hour before the show. Like, it's not just a line with me. I fucking take advantage of that hour with the lighting and what they're hearing as they're being, and if whether I was in a theater, I would do the same thing. So the band playing, and I pick every fucking song, no words. About 5 years ago, I go, by the way, you can play songs with words as seating music. It's fine. I just wanted to change it up. I go, let the audience be the words. I'll play instrumental stuff, not boring, just really cool versions of songs, but just with no words. And let the audience be the words. Just score them with beautiful music and make it as easy as it. So I started doing that, even if the band plays, and as they're leaving and I'm introing to the stage. I mean, band, trumpet, drums, and a keyboard that know you, they can do a lot of they can make it sound like there's 30 pieces. That trumpet and the keyboard. So 3 instruments, you get a lot of bang for your buck. You need the trumpet. So everything about it. To even if like I'm in a market and I have a saxophone player playing in the street before the show starts. I don't do it at all places because, it depends what my draw is in that market. But it's just for a million reasons, the band, they make the night. It's like a stand-up comedy night, because I know what it's like to crave stand-up comedy. It's a stand-up comedy show at the guts of it, just with a lot of production around it, so it makes it larger than life. So if there's the reason for the band.
Do you have any crazy fan stories?
I will tell you this genuinely. I've met a really lot of nice people. Uh, and I don't really have anything like that would stick out that would be even worth. I mean, sure there's things here and there where you meet people, but overwhelmingly, especially because of the podcast, I think, no, most of the interactions are from decent, kind, you know, people, and they're usually great. And most of the time, I actually enjoy talking to them. I mean, it would be different if I was at a profile. Like, I get it. I'm not saying that, Chris Rock should be able to, but he has everybody. He couldn't go anywhere without people. But if you meet, I have time to talk. You're usually talking to nice people and enjoying the conversation. And when you have to go, you go. So no, all just good. A lot of good.
That's
Seriously.
wonderful. That's really
Yeah.
great to hear. Um, I saw that you were at the Just for Laughs in Montreal quite a bit. Do you have a favorite memory of that?
Oh, I love the Montreal Comedy Festival. Not, it's really what I love is comedians being all together. And I really like stand-ups. Like, I love comedians. I feel like, you could be home, your house can be your home, and that's good to have a place you can come. I can get that also from also get it. I feel home, the comfort. Um, Even the ones that I have to say this so I don't come off disingenuous, even some of them that I might disagree with them on probably social issues and stuff like that. What makes it so hard is a lot of times, almost always, I like them. So I really, I forget what I was saying. What was your question?
The Just for Laughs Festival, favorite memory.
So it was hanging out with comedians, and favorite memory at the end of the night, like it would be like, a lot of LA comedians were on LA time. So it always seemed like it would be like 2:30 in the morning, maybe, and you're going back to the elevators, and there's all these sofas around the elevators, and there's always a last crew that is still there, that you get one more, you can hang there, and you can almost count on it. And that goes on till usually sometimes, because you're having a good fucking time. Nobody wants it to end. You're on LA time, so staying up till 6 in the morning, that's like 3 in the morning in LA, and that's not an absurd night. It's just a late night. So we would sit by the elevators, and people would go in the elevator, and everybody started getting really good at having a line and then closing, pushing the button, knowing how long it would take to time it out. So you'd be like, so we'd do like da 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 da, and then joke hit, the door would shut. And some of them, James Adomian, so funny. People were getting in the elevators to do it. Sometimes someone would come back down. They went to their room to go to bed. And James goes, I knew you guys were probably still down there, but I wasn't sure. I go, so you could have opened the elevator doors and we were all gone. He goes, yeah, I thought that might happen. So it's like 20 minutes after he does his first exit, he comes back, the doors open up, and James starts, hello, everybody. And we're just giggling and laughing. So that elevator time for me was just the best.
Oh, that's really
the
cool.
best.
That's really cool. Have you met any celebrities that left you starstruck?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you'd have to, right? I always say I don't get starstruck, but I get talent struck. Maybe that's my way of making myself feel better that I'm not. Talent, oh yeah, but talent, I get struck. But just someone that might be famous for being famous, but I had no reverence for their art, and maybe not as much, but I'd look, But talent struck, I mean, when I met Fred Willard, like that was, like I'd be nervous, and I can think of people, I can think of people when I see out. Most of the time, I won't go over. Like I saw Conan O'Brien at a party about a week ago. And I really wanted to go over, and he couldn't have been friendlier. It was so apparent. I mean, you only hear positive stories about Conan O'Brien. We probably vaguely, he might know that I'm a comic, or, I'm not positive. I think he probably does. But here's what I wanted to say. Maybe it was better I didn't. Maybe I should email it to him. But I was going to say that, Mr. Rogers' wife said that there are other Mr. Rogers. Somebody once said to him, I would tell him this, that somebody, an interviewer once said to Mrs. Rogers' wife, there's never going to be another Mr. Rogers. And I loved her answer. She said, there are, you just have to look for them. And when you were in Haiti doing those interviews, it was like and I was going to say, which is a line I use a lot, hey, this is a big compliment, so look the other way, but I'm going to give it to you. You were doing the work of Mr. Rogers, going, humanizing these people. And I would sit and laugh and cry and thank you. That was it. And I go, other than that, nice meeting you. And I was going to walk off. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. And I never do. So
I have a huge crush on Conan O'Brien. I love that pale,
you do?
Tall redhead.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you only hear great stories about Conan O'Brien, which is nice. And again, I don't know him at any level. So, but so the answer is, would I get? Yeah, I would get. Sometimes I tell myself, like, don't get so nervous. That person, not Conan, but it could be somebody else. They like you. Relax. And I don't know. It's. I think it's just normal. I'm not the only one, But.
That's very cool. Well, Todd, I think that you're an absolute delight. Is there anything we should be looking out for? Should we be checking out your social medias or anything?
I'm having a great time on TikTok, and whatever I post on TikTok, I put on Instagram. For me, like early on, I just knew I loved it. A friend of mine said to me, it was during the pandemic, Todd, have you seen TikTok? I go, yeah. He goes, it's like you. And what he meant was, I'm not a wordsmith. I'm not like for Twitter. I joined in and I had it, but the bits, and it can be anything. It could be silly. It could be sweet. It could be nice. It could be kind. There's shit on there, but there's shit on every platform. There's shit in movies. There's shitty documentaries. There's shitty comedians. But there's an element of that on TikTok, but I also saw the other part. And to be honest, it made me jealous. Like some things would be so fucking funny. And I would go, how did they know just that? And a quick edit, or it's a minute long and it's just silly, or it's heartwarming, or it's kind.
I know. And the little grannies that are, singing along to Jesse's Girl and stuff like that. And, there's so much cuteness on that platform.
And with a little self-control. So I've been having a good time and posting videos and trying to start posting more stand-up. So and Instagram, TikTok, and my special, always give that a little love. Act Happy. That's the first special with the band. It's the first time I use the band in a special. And one last thing, go to YouTube if you want to know like the show with the band. If anybody's curious, like there's something on YouTube. It's called Todd Glass, The Event of a Lifetime. It's 4 minutes. And it's sort of a montage of what the show with the band is like before the doors open, after the show, when people get back in the street, and the actual show itself in 4 minutes. And you're like, oh, okay, I get it. So if anybody desires, Todd Glass, The Event of a Lifetime.
Fabulous. And if there's just one more thing you can do for me, Todd, say it loud, say it proud. I love Newsload.
Oh, there you go. This is Todd Glass, and I love Newsload. I mean, that might have been a good one right there. You want me to say my name and then?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Todd Glass, and I love Newsload. I mean, in a serious way. There's definitely something going on here.
Well, thank you, Todd. I think you're absolutely amazing, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And Murphy back there looks very comfortable.
Did you see him? Hold on.
Yeah. The snoozing, perfect for Halloween. The black cat, very good.
Right. Murphy.
What?
Anyway, all right. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Todd. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
This is the Newsload.